Welcome back to another episode of Sideline and Punchlines with your hosts Bowen and Mark Measy.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Episode number 3. Super excited. We had a lot of NFL action last week. Some tough decisions had to be made. And Mark is going to take this one away.
Yes, sir. Today we're gonna kick it off with some NFL takes, and after that, after we get through all those, I'll let you kick it off with some NBA takes. But first and foremost, I just wanted to talk about the probably the marquee game last night. Rams at Bears. Bears had it, but they fall to the Rams in overtime, 20-17. Caleb Williams with probably one of the best throws I've ever seen on that fourth down to commit, but it just wasn't enough at the end of the day. What are your takeaways from the game? What are your takeaways from the Bears season? Do you think they maybe run it back next year and get further, same distance? What are your thoughts?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the Bears are going to be Showtime television football, right?
Oh,
We
absolutely.
saw back-to-back games. Caleb make a tremendous throw to seal the deal or to get them back into the game. Um, and I'm looking forward to Chicago football, just like most fans are now. Those who tuned
Yeah.
in, they did have the most watched NFL game, I believe, in history between the
Hmm.
Packers. And the Rams, the Rams game was nothing less than that, right? It was a
Hmm.
thriller. Unfortunately, though, it came down to the wire. Wasn't able to execute. I don't know who's to blame, whether it's DJ Moore or Caleb. But unfortunately, they lost. And I think, Ben Johnson and Caleb, they met some expectations. They fell a little short in some areas, but the potential is there. The signs are there, right? And super excited to be a Bears fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of on that train with you. I don't think they're going anywhere. They obviously found the right head coach for him to get to the divisional round and practically almost win it. For a first year head coach is amazing. Caleb Williams had a great year. Playoffs. I mean, the eye test definitely said, yeah, he's met expectations, and he, played really well. But if you look at his stats for the playoffs, he was 41 of 85, 402 yards, two touchdowns, five interceptions, and then a QBR of 51.6. So the numbers, aren't great. But like I said, the eye test, you can see that, with, just a couple more years of development, especially with a coach like Ben Johnson, who's just going to elevate his play, which he showed this year compared to last, that, yeah, they're going to be there for, the next 5 years, next 5, 7 years, and they're gonna be just fine. It was a tough loss. Especially, I live in Iowa, so a lot of Bears fans up here, and like you said, there hasn't been a lot to be excited about the Bears, and now there finally is. So I think Bears fans are, upset, but sky's the limit for them in the future, and I know that they're looking forward to seeing the Bears play the next 5 years with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson at the helm.
Bear down, baby.
Bear down, but yeah,
The
just a
Bears.
just a tough loss. But moving on to some head coaching segments. Harbaugh and Kevin Stefanski were hired. Harbaugh was hired by the Giants, and then Stefanski was hired by the Falcons. What are your thoughts on these hires? Do you think these are going to be 1 year turnarounds, kind of like how Ben Johnson and the Bears were, or do you think it'll take a couple years for these head coaches?
Great question. I think Harbaugh to the Giants, I wouldn't necessarily say turn around, but I would say keep the momentum going. After that season, after their season ended, unfortunately, due to injuries, um, and their record, the Giants were playing great football. I think they have a lot of potential over there. Scatabo, you have Dart. Unfortunately, Neighbors went out with injury. But they have a good offensive unit. Defensively, I think they need a couple tweaks. But there's a bunch of signs that the Giants are going to be Showtime again as well. I really love the group. I think Harbaugh brings experience, one, a new voice, two, and three, somebody who just demands respect. I think he has a lot of tools that he can bring out of Jackson Dart and the other offensive guys, and I see them really making a step next year, carry on that momentum. As far as Stefanski to the Falcons, I know you're probably higher on Stefanski than I
Mhm.
am, but the Falcons to me are in a weird spot. You have Penix, who they're questionable on, and I don't think I've seen Stefanski being able to show what he really can do with a bona fide quarterback rather than a questionable quarterback. Because we've seen that in Cleveland with all these other quarterbacks that were labeled as questionable. We saw it with
Hmm.
Baker, right? We saw it with Deshaun, uh, Dylan, Shadur. And so now you move over to Atlanta, and yes, great offensive mind, but if there's a question mark at the position that is the most important, calling the
Good point.
shots with you, I just don't think the Falcons are set up for success.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. As far as Harbaugh and the Giants, for me, I think it will take them maybe a year or two, just because it's going to be a tough division with the Commanders going to Jaden Daniels is going to get healthy. The Eagles are still there. The Cowboys are usually always relevant. They just can't ever get over the hump. So I think it's probably for me. I think it would take them a year or two. And like you said, they do have defensive pieces. They just need to probably look at corners, and they'd probably be a really solid defense. They have a really good pass rush. Abdul Carter needs to mature into his own. He was, a top five pick last year, I think, or at least top 10, and he just didn't really play up to his potential this year. So I just think he's got some maturing to do, but they still have Dexter Lawrence and those edge rushers. Um, I think, and then they're all, like you said, they're offensive weapons. They have them. Scadaboo showed what he can do this year before he had that terrible leg injury. Malik Neighbors is all world when he's healthy. And then I think Dart just needs to, stay in the pocket more. He relies on his legs too much, and he had like five concussions, just this year, just in and out. And so if he can just stay in the pocket a little more and produce as a pocket passer, I could see them definitely becoming relevant in the next year or two. But as far as Stefanski, like you said, I am a bit higher on Stefanski than you are. Um, just because of the division that they're in. It's not really all world. I know the Panthers are going to be back with vengeance, and they have something going right now, and they could have easily beaten the Rams. And then you look at the Buccaneers, they've been banged up all year, and then they just fell off a cliff. And then you look at the Saints. I mean, I don't think anyone is too high on the Saints, even though they did end the year off pretty well. I think they won four of their last six games. They found something in Tyler Shuck and their defense. So, yeah, I am a little higher on Stefanski just because of the offensive weapons they have, the pieces they have on defense, and I think it's anyone's division next year. I just can't say that about the Giants, because the Giants have just been god awful for so long. It's going to take a lot to turn that franchise around, but I have no doubt that Harbaugh will eventually do it and bring a brand of football that the Giants are proud of seeing and watching. So, um, but moving on, earlier today, some really, really big news hit that Sean McDermott was fired from the Bills after 9 seasons in Buffalo and breaking the curse and getting into the playoffs each year. But it's a produce or fail league, and I think if you can't get to the Super Bowl with no Mahomes, no Lamar, no Burrow, and it's just someone's got to get fired. And so, do you think that he was scapegoated, or after Josh played terrible, or do you think it was just time?
I wouldn't say it was either, in my opinion. I don't think it was a scapegoat move, and I don't think. Um, what was the other part?
Uh, was he scapegoated, and then after Josh played terrible, or do you think it was just time,
Yeah, and
in general?
I don't think it was time either. If anything, I'm looking at the GM, right? Josh Allen hasn't had a consistent wide receiver one,
Yeah,
and James Cook, while he is a solid back and he led the league in total yards, I believe, or not total yards, but rushing yards this
yeah,
season.
rushing yard.
He's just not surrounded by what he needs, which is the wide receiver. I mean, I like Coleman, but he's immature. I like
Yeah,
Shakur, right? These are great guys,
yeah,
but they're not the guy. They
right.
brought in Amari Cooper, who the following year retired.
Yeah,
So I just feel like it's for a new voice. They're looking for a new offensive scheme, maybe somebody who can utilize Josh Allen a little bit more. But I had no
mhm.
problem with him, right? I just think it's an unfortunate move, and it's just business. And unfortunately, that's just the way it works in the professional leagues.
Yeah, no, 100%. It is just business, and like I said, after 9 years of playoff loss after playoff loss, someone's got to, fall on the grenade, and that person was Sean McDermott. Do I think he was scapegoated? No, because like maybe if this was like his fourth year, maybe then I could see that. But after nine and playoff loss after playoff loss, it was just time. It was just time to try to find somebody that can get this team over the hump. And I do think it was unfortunate that Josh played his worst game of the playoffs in Denver. I don't think enough people talk about it. I think, like I know CJ Stroud was worse, but ESPN's posting CJ Stroud all over their page saying this is how many turnovers he had. When will CJ Stroud become the player he was his rookie season? And I'm kind of sitting here like, well, why aren't you guys posting about the former MVP and how he played in his playoff game in Denver when they had opportunity after opportunity to win that game? And I think it does go to show that in the like right before the half of the Denver game, there was 17 seconds left. It was a 17-10 game. All the Bills have to do is knee it, go into the half, come out, they get the ball first, and they could go get a touchdown and tie it. But instead, they, they're Sean McDermott and his staff are thinking, oh, we have Josh Allen. We have 17 seconds and three timeouts. Let's try to go get some points. And literally the first play they run, Josh Allen has a crazy uncalled for fumble, and the Bills offensive lineman tried to jump on it, couldn't do it. Denver ends up recovering, gets 3 points, halftime. So I think that is kind of what did it for the Bills front office and for Sean McDermott. They were like, you know what, like you can't. It was inexcusable. It can't happen. Um, but yeah, no, I don't think he was scapegoated. I just think time, time ran out for him, and he was a great coach, and he is a great coach. And I have no doubts that he's going to get a head coaching job since half of the league is looking for a head coach right now. But yeah, I just think Josh chose the worst time to have his worst outing, and it might have costed Sean McDermott his job. And I'm not saying it was all Josh's fault so that Sean McDermott got fired, but I just think that had a large part with it. So those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm on the same page as you. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way the league works.
Yeah, it's a produce or fail league, and there's no in between. So, moving on though to staying in the AFC with Justin Herbert after their playoff loss to the uh, Patriots in the press conference after the game. Justin Herbert was caught saying that he just hasn't figured it out yet. Is this something for you, Bowen, that you would want your franchise QB to say, or would you think like maybe try to think of something else to say?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of drama going on with coaches and quarterbacks right now, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But from Herbert, no, I just think he is taking the higher approach or the higher road. Some would say taking accountability. But I think he's abusing it a little bit, right? Taking a little bit too much criticism or too much of
Mm-hmm.
the blame. At the end of the day, his team's banged up, right? And while he didn't have his best outing, I I don't take it like he actually meant it. I think it's more of like a passive aggressive way of just taking it all in. Like, yeah, it's my fault. I haven't figured it out yet. When we all know that's not the truth. If you watched
Right.
him this season, he was spectacular, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was playing with a broken left arm. Okay, I don't want to hear he hasn't figured it out
Yeah.
yet because we all know
Yep.
he has, right?
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate how he wants to take it and just be like, hey, don't look at them. But at the same time, I mean, no, it's not on him.
Yeah, no, I am 100% with you. It's definitely not on him. His two all-pro offensive linemen were both out pretty much the whole year. Like you said, he was dealing with injuries like every other week. His running backs were banged up. He doesn't really have a wide receiver one, even though their wide receiver room is, pretty deep. It's just there's really not that number one to like kind of say like, okay, I'm the guy. And so
We
yeah,
got to
no, I don't
double
think it was.
him. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, and so I don't think it like was Justin Herbert's fault at all. They have the right head coach. They just let go of their offensive coordinator, so they'll be bringing in another offensive coordinator. But as far as like I haven't figured it out yet. I guess I don't really. I see what you're saying. Like he's taking accountability, and that's nice and all. I think that's maybe something you can say after year two or three. After year six, going into year seven, I wouldn't want Jalen Hurts saying, "I haven't figured it out yet," because if you haven't figured it out by now, like when will you figure it out, and what does that even mean? So I guess I just would have taken accountability a different way, in a different manner. I wouldn't have said I haven't figured it out yet. It's just a little too much of like, okay, you're shooting yourself in the foot a little too much. Like we all understand that your team was banged up. We get it. I just don't think he needed to say that. As a Chargers, if I was a Chargers fan, I'd kind of be like scratching my head a little bit, like, uh oh, like just a little optimistic. I'm not like, uh oh, he hasn't figured it out yet. Well, when will you? So, but like I totally get it, taking accountability and all that, but I just don't think. I think you could have worded it different without beating yourself up that much.
Hmm. Absolutely.
But moving on, staying in the AFC, Aaron Rodgers, after Mike Tomlin stepped down from head coach from the Steelers, it's unlikely that Aaron Rodgers will return to the Steelers or NFL at all. But if he does, or I guess if he doesn't, what will you remember most about him?
Uh, I don't know if he's going to return. I'm on the same page. I don't think he will. I think it's unlikely. Hold on. Can you lift up that glass real quick? Do say with crayon. Hi, Mark Measy. My bad.
Hey,
At least it's not a Percocet, you know? A-Rod. No, I'm kidding.
Aaron Rodgers.
No, honestly, Aaron Rodgers, he's a showsman. One of the best throwers of all time. And for me, I mean, he was probably the best quarterback for my age and when I was watching. You know,
As far as talent,
as far as just being able to just fling the ball. I mean, he
yeah,
was playing
talent.
with guys like Jordy Nelson, and you know, I mean, Devonte Adams, I think, was probably his best receiver he played with. Right.
Yeah,
Other than that, I mean, who else?
right.
You know,
Yeah, I mean he had Jordy Nelson who was pretty good, and then he had Donald Driver who was pretty good, and then he had Randall Cobb who was pretty good,
I
and
think
then yeah,
Cobb's pretty
Devontae
good.
Adams was probably his best wide receiver, but I think he made Devontae Adams a little bit.
You think so? I mean, look at his success over there in LA, though. Is
Hmm.
Matthew Stafford making Devontae? I mean, he led the Rams in touchdowns.
Hmm.
I mean, I think it speaks more on Tay and what he brings to a team.
That's
But
fair.
I think as far as Aaron Rodgers goes, what I'll remember the most about him is him unfortunately beating up on the Bears. Them being my favorite team. I'll never forget when we made the NFC Championship. We play them and they knock us out. We were one step away going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, the discount double checks, right? The celebrations. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's an
yeah.
icon,
Box
outside of the
office.
game, as well as he is in the game. So definitely will be missed and just a big, big talent.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think I'll remember the most about him is just like you said, I think he's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. I'm not going to say best because we've all seen Tom Brady, we've all seen Patrick Mahomes, but as far as talent alone, just throwing the football, he's the best I've ever seen. Some of these throws that he would make in his prime were just absolutely like impossible, and he just made it seem routine. So I just think that's what I'll remember most about him. It sucks to see all these quarterbacks leaving and retiring just because like these are the cats we grew up watching from Peyton Manning to Drew Brees to Aaron Rodgers to Tom Brady to Philip Rivers to Big Ben. It just Matt Ryan, all these guys that we grew up watching are starting to leave, and the only one really left is Russell Wilson, and he's not what he used to be.
Well,
So
and Philip Rivers.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess he is still in
No.
the league, but no, I see what you're saying. But yeah, that's just what I'll remember most is just he's the most talented thrower of the football that I've ever seen. And people can have their arguments and say Patrick Mahomes and some of these other guys, but for me, it's Aaron Rodgers, and there's really no debate for that. So, um,
Let us know in the comments.
yeah, let us know in the comments if Aaron Rodgers is the most talented thrower of the football or not. But moving on, going to the NFC side of things, in the Eagles, AJ Brown reportedly asked to be traded several times during the season, including when the Eagles started 3-0. GM Howie Roseman says quote, it's hard to find great players in the NFL. AJ's a great player. That's what we're going out and looking for when we go out in free agency in the draft, is trying to find great players who love football, and he's that guy. So that would be my answer. And so, what are your thoughts on AJ reportedly asking to be traded several times, and then your thoughts on the GM's comments?
Yeah. AJ asking to be traded several times should be a no surprise for anyone. We've covered it, I think, every podcast so far, about his attitude, the way he's demanded a trade, the way he gets along with teammates, things in that nature. Um, so that should be no surprise to anybody. Now, as far as the GM, I mean, it's the best. I think that was probably one of the best responses you can get. I mean, it was like, hey, we love you. We want you. You fit our description. You are what we need. It's up to you, though, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and I think AJ just needs to take that time to really reflect on what's more important, the stats or winning. Because it just comes down to that. He knows what he brings to a team. He knows his
Mhm.
value, but I think he needs to step out of his box and kind of look at it from the outside, right? Mark, you've been preaching an offensive coordinator has been changed almost throughout, actually, Jalen Hurts' whole career from college to NFL, correct?
Yep. This will be Jalen's 11th or 12th straight play caller, offensive coordinator dating back to college. Yeah.
Right. So, you can only imagine. I mean, AJ, calm down for a second. Let's think about this. If you leave and you go to another team, your value is only going to be for what they sign you to. After that, you're gone. And so, do you want to risk going to another team who might not utilize you after your first or second year, and now you're done for? Compared to the Eagles, you already have that relationship. You already have the history. You're
Mhm.
the standard, and you're making the other guys who come in either surpass you or meet you where you're at.
Right. Like,
And I
what
just
they
feel
say,
like
like grass is it's not always greener
green
on the
on the
other
other
side.
side. No, absolutely. And so, hopefully AJ really does reconsider. If not, though, and that's what he wants to die on, hey, you know what? I want to get my stats. I want to get my numbers. Then by all means, do it.
100%. I'm right there with you. It's like you said, as far as him reportedly asking to be traded several times during the season, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, it's not a shock to me just because of how he's been acting the last 2 years. I think it's got a lot to do with the play calling, especially this year. It probably really drove him crazy because, I mean, the offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, was that bad. He did not utilize him the way that past offensive coordinators have with the Eagles. And then as far as, the GM, Howie Roseman's one of the best GMs, if not the best GM in the National Football League, as far as him putting teams together constantly that can contend. And with his comments, saying uh, AJ's a great player. That's what we're going out and looking for. You know, it's hard to find great players who love football, and he's that guy. That tells me that he's not looking to trade AJ Brown, even if AJ is that unhappy. AJ's still under contract for another year, so it's not like AJ can force his way out, even like, and it seems like he's been trying to with his attitude and all these, you know, cryptic tweets and sneak disses and all that. But it's like, dude, like the Eagles are a professional organization. They're not like, yeah, they don't want to see you putting out these cryptic tweets and all that, but they don't really care. Like they have you under contract. They know what you're capable of. You're gonna play out your contract. It's really like it's very rare for Howie Roseman to trade a player under contract and bite the bullet with the cap hit. So I don't think he will be traded. I just think, like you said, he needs to look at it from the outside in, and really get involved with this next offensive coordinator in Jalen and be like, yo, look, like we clearly have the talent to be better, and that's one thing I'll give him. And to his credit, he was saying it all year. Like we can't just keep slapping a band. But like I said, to his credit, he was right. It's just you got to go about it a different way. You know what I mean? Like look what you have in front of you. You've been to two Super Bowls. You've won one. There's no reason in hell you can't get to another Super Bowl and win one and still get your stats in Philly. Um, Even if they're not like, oh, he had 1,700 yards, and like a lot of these guys are getting 1,700 yards, 1,800 yards, but they're not even in the playoffs or they're exited the first round. So you just got to try to find the happiness and contentness in the situation, and just do what's best for the team that you're a part of, because it's not just about you. You're on a team, and that's what teams do. So
And
I don't think he's going to get traded though
no,
after those GM comments.
yeah. I was going to ask, I mean, two things actually. You know, the way that they allowed him to act the way he did with no repercussions does not show how much they are catering to him because
Hmm.
they have that much faith in him. You know,
Yeah, no, 100%.
no other place. If he goes to give me the Chiefs, do you think they're going to do that to him with no repercussions?
I
A
mean,
brand new
maybe
player,
because
you throw him in.
we saw Tyreek Hill, like, and it was only like one instance where Tyreek Hill had a problem in Kansas City, but it's just something about wide receivers, like, people call them divas. I never really call people or wide receiver divas. I think people call them divas because of the way they act. I don't call them that because wide receiver is like one of those positions in football that, like, it really, really depends on your stats and your health to
Right,
get a next contract.
right.
And so I think AJ's really looking at it as like, well, damn, like, what if they just decide? I think AJ's really just kind of looking out for his butt. Like, well, what if they do decide to not sign me again, and then I don't have the stats to show for it to go get another big contract? So I think he's just really fighting to get those numbers. So if that does happen, he has the numbers to back it up
Fair
and get a
point.
next big contract.
Fair point.
So, which is fine. I mean, that's just human nature. It's not selfish. It's just human nature. Like, you're just looking out for your own, which is fine. But at the same time, you're a part of the team. Just try to do what's best for the team and yourself to an extent, and just try to find that happiness and content with this next offensive coordinator, with the head coach, because we saw him and Nick Sirianni get into it during that playoff game versus the 49ers. Nick Sirianni was yelling at him after he dropped that first ball. I don't think it was because he didn't catch it. It's because he didn't get off the field fast enough for them to punt. And he was kind of sitting there moping on the ground, got up slow, was just like, and just walking off really slow when the team needed to get on the field to punt. Nick Sirianni got in his ear and was like, hey, you need to hurry up and get off the field. AJ was yelling back, and it's like, dude, you can't do that. You just dropped the ball. I mean, the coach is just trying to do his job and get you off the field so we can punt this and get good field position. I don't know. I think if he goes to another team and that were to happen, there might be repercussions. But I mean, it happens all the time with wide receivers, and there's hardly any repercussions, so it's kind of hard to say. Moving on here to our last NFL take. Uh, Broncos beat the Bills 33-30 in overtime. Second to last play, man, this has got to hurt for Broncos fans. But Bo Nix breaks his ankle, and he's going to have surgery tomorrow, and season-ending surgery tomorrow. Do you still think the Broncos have a chance, or is this kind of just going to be a game versus the Patriots that you don't turn on because you kind of know the end result?
No, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd watch unless I was a Patriots fan and maybe want to see my guys get a win and watch the journey as they go on. Um, but puncher's chance. I don't see much happening. I think the Patriots should confidently win this game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if if they somehow find momentum, it's just the fact that their backup has only played, what is it, seven? No, was it 12 total games or eight total games?
No, I think he's 1-4 in his starts, and then he has 8 touchdowns and 8 picks.
Gotcha. Right.
So I
So
think
I
he's
mean,
only played 5 games.
yeah. So they don't have a lot of scout on him. So I mean, that's the only thing they really have going for them. I do like Sutton though. I like their running back. They have a great defense. I just think the Patriots, because they are healthy, because they are, I mean, their starting quarterback Drake May, MVP probably. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, no Stafford's up there too. Um, I know that they have that going on, but it's not a game. It's not a game, man. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the Patriots will end up winning, and like you said, definitely a puncher's chance. They are at home, but I mean, for me, it's hard to write them off that much because I've been in a situation where, I mean, there's a lot of similarities between this Broncos team and the 17 Eagles, where, you lose a, MVP caliber quarterback in Carson Wentz, they lose Bo Nix. They go into their first divisional game underdogs to the Bills. The Eagles were underdogs to the Falcons in their first divisional game in 2017, ended up winning it with a backup quarterback. I know they had Bo Nix the whole game, but um, there's just a lot of similarities. So it's hard for me to write him off because Nick Foles did take that team to the Super Bowl and hung up 41 points on the best dynasty to ever play the game in the New England Patriots and stopped them from repeating. So it's a lot of similarities, like I said. Definitely a puncher's chance for the Broncos. If Statham can just not turn it over, like he doesn't even have to maybe even score a touchdown, but as long as he doesn't turn it over, I do see a scenario where the Broncos win because of that defense. They are at home. It's hard to go up into Mile High and play, 60 minutes of football. But if I had to guess, I would guess the Patriots win this game. And but yeah, I mean, to answer the question, do the Broncos still have a chance? Yeah, for me, puncher's chance, maybe even a little more, just because I've seen it happen before. And I mean, if these Broncos are just as talented, if not a little more talented than that 17 Eagles team, so um, I'm still going to tune in. I'm still going to watch. If the Patriots go up by 17, I'll be turning it off. and but yeah, I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they definitely still have a chance.
No, I mean I see what you're saying. Anything is possible, right?
Anything's possible. Anything's possible. If Nick Foles can do it, I mean, I Nick Foles is probably definitely more talented than Statham. Nick Foles has a 7 touchdown game, which is the most in NFL history,
We have
which
yet to
wasn't that.
see. We have yet to
Yeah,
see.
yeah, 100%, 100%. But hey, Bowen, you want to kick us off with some NBA takes where amazing happens, or
Absolutely, where amazing happens. NBA, let's go.
yes, sir.
Um, well, we've had a lot of news over the week. People have been made available. Some teams are looking to move off of players. Um, the first one I wanted to get into was the Jaw situation going over
Mm,
in Memphis. I know that they hired a new coaching staff last season, midway through, or actually, no, towards the end of the season while they were on the way to the playoffs. But he's officially made available for trades. Where do you think he fits, and where do you think he lands?
yeah, no, I think he'd make a good fit, and if the Bucks aren't going to be willing to move off Giannis, I think Ja would be a good fit in Milwaukee just to give, Milwaukee a puncher's chance because clearly they aren't going anywhere right now. Milwaukee's in the 11th seed, but I think we'll get into that later. But I think a team like Milwaukee, I think a team like Toronto, um, just a kind of just a really different scenery for Ja would be like it would be in Toronto, and maybe it'd make him, just snap back in it a little more. They'd probably have to give up, maybe like a Brandon Ingram or that rookie that's playing really good right now. I don't remember his name. And then maybe in one other team would be like Portland. They have some young pieces out there that they could trade away for Ja. And I don't know if Damien's coming back this year, but that would make a nice power punch duo, backcourt duo. And we've seen backcourt duos, succeed in this league for a long time now. So I think teams like that for sure would catch my eye.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A fast team with Giannis would be great to watch. It'd be great for the
Hmm.
league, and it'd be nice for
Hmm.
Milwaukee to actually land another star over there. Because
Right.
everything else Giannis has played with has either been homegrown or been just a contributor on a team. And
Yeah.
it would be nice to see Giannis paired up with another star. Uh,
Hmm.
I would actually like him over there in South Beach. Their
Ooh.
culture, very reputable.
Yeah.
Pat
Yeah.
Riley, if he can put his pride aside and be willing to let go of one of his guys, one of his heatles,
Yeah.
maybe they could get that job done. And John Moran would provide them, an electric scorer, somebody who can get other guys involved, a leader. And Pat Riley would be able to give him structure. Hey, we're in the gym by this time. You need to do this. There's no cookies
Yeah.
on a plane, right? There's just a
Yeah.
lot of good
Pat,
things.
Pat Riley's not going for any of that hoorah rah. Pat
Right.
Riley is one of the most respected, presidents or GMs in the league. So yeah, he's not going for that. And neither is Eric Spoelstra, who's actually the most tenured coach in the league in any U.S. sport. Now that Mike Tomlin stepped down, he's been coaching the longest for one team. But go ahead,
No,
sorry.
no, absolutely. And the only thing John Morant can start shooting is shots, right? So that's the biggest thing. Just having a focused jaw, ready to win jaw, and Miami can give him that, and in return he can give them their talent. So I definitely would love if Ja went over there. I think that'd be the perfect fit. Where does he land though? I see him staying in Memphis. I think the vibes are
Yeah.
a little too high for him. Whenever you get a tattoo of a city on your back, right? It's kind of hard to separate, right? And Ja got
Yeah.
that Memphis tattoo. I don't see him leaving anytime soon. I think there's a general consensus that Ja wants to be there. It's just you're going through the hard times. Desmond Bain got shipped off. Jaren
Hmm.
Jackson Jr. is still there. But some of these guys that Ja made real relationships with and was playing well with.
Aldama's nice.
Aldama's nice as well, but they're letting go of these pieces. Remember when
Hmm.
Yuji, the Asian guy, 5'3", was the shortest player in the NBA at the time. They let him go. I think he plays for the Windy City Bulls, which is a Chicago G League. You know,
Yeah.
so it just seems like anything that Ja appreciates or likes, they're like no. When really that's not it. It's not working out, right? They
Yeah.
just need more vets. They need guys that can come in there, right? Point them in the right direction, point the other players in the right direction, and you go from
Hmm.
there. But hopefully,
Yeah. No.
Miami. Honestly, I hope Miami uh, sucks things up. It tells Pat Riley, "Hey, we have to make this trade. We have to go for
Yeah.
this. This is something
No, I
that'll
was
benefit us."
I was just going to ask you, and then also comment on your comment of like there are signs that Ja does want to stay in Memphis. I think him and his teammate were arguing the other day in practice, but I mean to me that just shows that he cares. I mean he wants to get better. He wants to make his teammates better. And then going back to the Miami, do you think Miami would have to give up like Tyler Hero?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the first guy that comes to my mind is Tyler Hero. I think Norman Powell was a Jimmy Butler replacement because when they brought in Andrew Wiggins, that wasn't a Jimmy Butler replacement. Even though he's wearing his jersey number, it was really just like, hey, we need talent in return. We're not just gonna give it to him, or we're not just gonna give you Jimmy for free. We want something in
Hmm.
return, and I think they're higher on Andrew Wiggins than they are Tyler Hero because Tyler's too injury prone. I mean, you look at every season, the most games he's played is I think 55, maybe 60. And that's
That's
just
not
not doing
enough.
it, especially at his age. When you're at your youngest, you want to shoot for bare minimum 72. Miss 10
Right.
games, so be it, right? You partied a little too hard last night.
Hmm.
For Tyler Hero, his first 5 seasons, but total games played, it's like he's only been in the league for 2, 3 years. It's just,
Yeah.
we can't have that happen. He is a bona fide scorer. He is getting better, getting other guys involved, but as far as Tyler Hero goes, he'd be the first one on the chopping block. I'd be
I think
surprised
my
if it was Norman Powell.
only I think my only concern with Miami would be it's down in South Beach. Y'all likes throwing them dollar bills. You know what I mean? Someone would have to keep him in check. That'd be my only concern. But other than that, I think it would be a great fit.
I'll say this. If LeBron James can't get cookies on a plane, John Morant will not be in the strip club. Gee, I'm sorry. Cookies on a plane is way smaller. And,
Crazy.
and that wasn't
Crazy.
happening, right? So John Morant going to the club, right? The gentleman's club. I just don't see it happen.
Okay.
Um, but our next take, I wanted to look at what's going on over there in the East. We're looking at LaMelo and over there in Charlotte.
Hmm.
And there's this general consensus that Charlotte is just this team that can bring in a bunch of young guys, get the draft picks, get the talent, but they can never win. What do they need to do in order to change? Because I believe it starts with LaMelo.
Yeah. I mean, I think Lamelo is just so promising that I wouldn't want to trade him, but at the same time, it's like you guys are just missing veterans. Like you guys have no vets on the team, no vets to keep these guys in check. Which I mean, maybe isn't like too big of a problem, but for me, I think you always need that vet in the room. Just making sure everyone's clocking in every day, doing what they can to benefit the team, benefit themselves. Um, So for me, I just think they need to get a couple of vets in the room, and even if they don't have any playing time, just that vet on the bench, like DeAndre Jordan, that's just sitting on the Pels bench. You know what I mean? Like it's a bunch of young guys, and then you have DeAndre Jordan sitting there on the bench. That vet that's in the room in everyone's ear. So a name that comes to mind for me is maybe just get CP3 in the room if he's willing, and just really coach these young guys up. Um, CP3 can do whatever it needs for the team to win. If he's on the floor or off the floor, we've seen it before. When he's on the floor, just doing these things that no one else thinks of, like, like, oh, he's pulling his jersey, or what was that instance with
Oh,
in
yeah, his jersey's untucked. His jersey untucked, and the ref
yeah,
didn't
he
even want
just
to call it, right?
it's petty, but he's right. You know what I mean? And so it's just that mental, someone that's been there, done that, and so yeah, I just think get some vets in the room, and I think Charlotte might see a little bit better progress.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I definitely agree. A guy like CP3 would be tremendous for that organization and that locker room, right? LaMelo being 6'7", could play the two guard, but his ability to get others involved was his biggest asset coming into the league. And now that he's added his scoring ability and his craftiness, I mean, we haven't seen this since I think prime James Harden as far as the ability to get open the way he does. Off
Yep.
ball, on ball, he's got the handles, he knows when to dish it off. The problem is they're just too showsman like. It's like watching the Harlem Globetrotters sometimes, where when you're going there, you're entertained, but from a winning aspect, as a fan, like not only do I want to see you hit the step back or one-legged three, I also want to walk out of here feeling like, man, we won, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. And bringing in a veteran like CP3, if you look at the places he's landed and the way he's changed the culture or added on to their culture, has been nothing but great. He
Yeah. Like look what's happened once he's left or been there. Like with a young Shea Gillis-Alexander in OKC. Look how he elevated that team, and then now look where they are now, which, isn't obviously all credit to CP3. It's credit to the GM and the Clippers, but with all those picks that they gave him. But just yeah, you look at any franchise he's left them in good hands, and so yeah, I definitely agree. And that Knuppel kid is, I mean, he's going nuts. I think he has 147 threes, maybe a little more since I think I checked a couple days ago, so probably a little bit more. But he's the fastest person to 100 threes, and no one else has gotten past 100 threes in 40 games, and this man's already at 147. So they have young talent. It's just like we've said, just get a vet in the room to hold these guys accountable and get the best out of them day in, day out.
No, absolutely. I mean, I 100% agree with you. But a team that's, killing right now and they have vets and they have some young guys as well is the Boston Celtics, Mark. I don't know if you've been paying
Mm-hmm.
attention over there in the East, but they are now the
Yep.
second seed without Jason Tatum. Jalen Brown is averaging 29 points a game. And I mean, man, are you buying in or buying out? Because they're about to sell out.
To be honest with you, I've always been bought in with the Celtics just because of how much young talent they've had and the level of the young talent they've had. And even with Jason Tatum out, I'd never thought that they were gonna just fall off a cliff because Jalen Brown has showed like, yo, it's 1A and it's 1A. It's not 1A and 1B and it's not the other way around. It's 1A and 1A. Me and Jason Tatum are both that guy. I mean, he has a finals MVP for a reason. He has, I think, did he win the conference finals MVP too? Or does
Uh,
he just have the finals one?
I thought it was just the
Either,
finals. I could be wrong.
okay, either way, like he's proven that with Jason Tatum out, he can still carry this franchise, and he's done just that. I think he's up to third in MVP calculations right now, or maybe even second, and it's well deserved. I mean, he's playing some great, great ball. The whole team is, and they, like you said, they have those vets, and they have a lot of young talent. Anthony Simons playing some really good ball, and so yeah, I'm totally, totally bought in on the Celtics, especially with all these rumors that Jason Tatum will be back soon. Now, it might take him a couple weeks to shake the rust off and, rebuild the chemistry, if you will. Hopefully, that doesn't mess up the, level of success that they're having right now. I guess I wouldn't believe it would because they've played enough seasons together to just mesh right away. But yeah, I'm still totally bought in,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Now, I'm definitely bought in as well. Jaylen Brown was actually the player I liked the most coming out of his draft class.
Yeah,
And it's been great to watch him elevate his game every single year. And it kind of reminds me of this Russell Westbrook Kevin Durant situation when KD first went out. Russ bumped his scoring up, I think, from like 20 points to like 28 points the next year. It was like 8 point jump, which is insane, right?
yeah,
And Jaylen Brown, I mean, Finals MVP, like you said, right? He brings
hmm,
so much to the table, and now he has the opportunity just to show not only the Celtics but other teams around the league what he brings to a team and what it's like to have him as a leader. And he's more
absolutely.
efficient. He is better off the ball, I will say, than Jason Tatum. He's not as shifty offensively, but he's more
Hmm,
efficient offensively, right? And
hmm,
those are big things because it just shows Jaylen Brown approaches the game like he does outside of the game. I don't know if you know this, but he was a top student just off academics,
yeah,
right? And so he's a very
yeah,
smart, well articulated guy. I love
dedicated.
very dedicated, and I love his game. They have Peyton Pritchard over there. They brought in some bigs. They just have a nice Derek White. They do have a nice team. Now, do I think aspirations of a championship this year? No. And if Jason Tatum comes back, I mean, I think it'll be a definite no. When a guy comes back from injury after so many games, you get used to playing without them. And so,
Hmm.
especially when a guy comes back from injury, they're shaking off rust. They don't just come back in prime condition, right? They weren't playing up and down basketball. And so with Jaylen Brown going on this scoring tear and these other guys then realize Jason Tatum's back, it's kind of hard to decide, well, do I want to keep feeding Jason Tatum, who's still trying to find his rhythm, or do I give it to the guy who's averaging 29, almost the leading scorer in the league?
Yeah,
That's a tough
that's a good
decision,
point. Hmm.
you know?
I guess I can definitely see your point. Like, because I mean, I even had said like, hopefully it doesn't mess up their rhythm and their chemistry when JT comes back. I just I have reason to believe it wouldn't. Like maybe the first week or two, but like I said, I think they've played enough seasons together, and that I just don't. And they've won a championship. I would give them the benefit of the doubt and say that it wouldn't. But yeah, you're right. Most of the time, when a guy comes back from that long, it takes a little bit to get used to them playing with that guy again. And maybe there's some room for maybe a little discomfort and frustration. Like, oh man, like JT's back. Now my numbers are going to go down, but I don't take Jaylen Brown as that guy at all. So I would just give him the benefit of the doubt and say that it wouldn't, but you're definitely right. There's definitely a chance it could.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the Achilles is a big deal, right? And so that's going to take away from his athleticism. So,
Yeah,
not to say that Jason Tatum heavily relied on his athleticism, but he still did rely on some of it. And so we have to see
absolutely.
how would Jason Tatum adjust, and his teammates would then have to figure out, hey, we can't do this like we used to. Or Jason Tatum, if he's a little bit more nervous to, attack the rim and things like that, he might, there's just that adjustment period. But um,
Yeah,
speaking
absolutely.
about adjusting or not, Paulo Banchero has been out in and out of the lineup this year heavily. And talks around the NBA have said they might look to actually move off of him. What do you think about Orlando possibly shipping or keeping Paulo?
Yeah. If I was Orlando, I wouldn't do it. I
Mm.
just think there's too much promise in the young man. I'm a really big fan of his. And I never really like comparing anyone to LeBron because there really hasn't been a player to compare to LeBron. But if besides like maybe early in his career Ben Simmons, but Ben Simmons was never able to shoot, so I never got that comparison. But as far as Paulo, I think like his comparison could be like to LeBron, and I just think there's way too much upside to Paulo, and like I mean, to me he's their best player. I know he's dealing with injuries a lot of the time, but I just don't see a world where they move off Apollo before Wagner. So if I was Orlando, no, I would definitely stay on Paulo, try to build around him, have him be your vocal point, and go forward.
Yeah. Franz, though, he is the more likable guy around the locker room. One,
Hmm.
because he's around. Two, because he plays so aggressive. And three, he's not punked. He's also got his brother there. and that really helps give a little bit of a confidence boost because you can always look around the locker room and know you got one person behind you, right?
Yeah.
And so not and nobody else on the team can say that besides Franz, right?
Hmm.
He is more of a threat from all three levels, whether he's working inside the post or he is shooting a mid range or he's going out for the three. You know, Paulo, his shot is still a little inconsistent,
Hmm.
but he's a hell of a talent. And you know, whenever you see a guy who's that explosive and has a nice jump shot, and you know it just needs a couple tweaks, and he's a bucket,
Yeah.
it's hard to turn your head of that. And I think
Yeah.
if the
Like
Orlando
LeBron early in his career, like he didn't have the jump shot right away,
Mhm.
but he worked on it clearly and it came into fruition. But
No,
go ahead, sorry.
absolutely. And you know, Paulo has that type of potential. If they do
Hmm.
decide to move off of him, I'd be heavily disappointed. I mean,
Yeah.
Paulo has the ability to take this team where it needs to go, and Franz
Hmm.
as well. I mean, it's a 1A situation in my opinion over there.
Yeah. I mean, ever since he's gotten to Orlando when he was drafted, they've only gotten better.
No, for sure.
And that has a lot to say about Paulo and his game.
Absolutely.
So, what is this? Is this Paulo's fifth year, fourth year,
Fourth.
fourth? Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of these NBA greats didn't get over the hump until their seventh, eighth year, and Orlando is one of those teams that I don't think they've ever won a finals, have they?
Maybe years ago.
I don't think they ever have because '94 with Shaq, they got beat 4-1 by Hakeem and the Rockets, and then in '09 Kobe got them, and then they've
Oh,
never
they've
been the one
just
after
been.
that.
Never mind. Yeah, I think they've just been to
Yeah,
the
they've
finals then.
been to finals, but they
Yeah.
never won. But
Yeah.
I think, I mean, you have the talent right now to do so. It's just about, you know, finding that camaraderie and really just getting the most out of these players and staying healthy, which is a hard ask because it is, a sport, so people are going to get hurt. But yeah, I would be really, really disappointed, excuse me, if Paulo, got traded. I just think he's way too talented. Way, way, way too
Just
talented.
to give up on. No, absolutely. I'm on the
Yeah,
same.
just to give up after 4 years,
Yeah.
really?
No,
Like,
yeah. You
like I
don't do it.
said, most of these NBA greats don't get there till their seventh, eighth year. So, and they're clearly on trajectory to get there soon. So,
Absolutely.
because like I
Absolutely.
said, they've only gotten better since he's gotten there.
Yeah. You know, I wish we could say the same about Jdub though over there in OKC. OKC's offense actually has been slowing down since the return of Jalen Williams. What do you think it takes for them to get kind of back on track offensively, or look a little bit more visually appealing to the fans and the media?
Yeah, I mean, going back to your point with JT returning, that's a good point for that argument because, Jalen Williams was out. OKC started off red hot, and they've kind of, been up and down since he's gotten back. So that's a good point to that uh, earlier argument about JT. But I just think the league's gotten more talented uh, with all these other teams. It's a league where I don't want to say it's a copycat league, but it's a league that catches up fast. We haven't had a repeat champion since Golden State. You know what I mean? So I mean, every year, someone else is getting better. All these teams are getting better. So I don't think it's really got to do too much with OKC. I just think all these other teams are getting better, like the Spurs. The Spurs are one of those teams that are favored to go win it all this year. But one thing I think they could do is just maybe, I know they are a really fast team and they like to run up and down, but maybe just slow down a little bit, and dissect what's in front of you. Let the game come to you and stop rushing all the time. Um, but like I said, I just think, I mean, the league's gotten so talented over the years. There hasn't been a repeat champion. Teams just catch up, and it is what it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, my perspective is more J-Dub taking more of a back seat. I know he views the team as like, hey, we've got our Batman in Shea, and you know, I'm the Robin. But you know, if you were to ask me, I look more at Chet as a Robin. He's
Hmm.
more versatile, offensively,
Hmm.
defensively. You know, yeah, he's not the ideal size of maybe a shifty player, but
Hmm.
you know, J-Dub's more stiff. You know, he doesn't have a lot of wiggle in his game, right? He's
Yeah, he is.
strong, he's athletic, but I would like him as maybe, you know, some nights he is number two, some nights he is number three. And I don't think he has that
Hmm.
mindset. I believe he approaches the game like, hey, 1A, 1B. And that's fine,
Hmm.
right? But if they have goals of, actually breaking history and wanted to go after that, what is it, 79 and what they go? Or 73 and 9?
73 and 9,
Yeah,
yeah. And then the Spurs that year, I think, went 67 and
which
15.
was
And
insane.
it's crazy because both those teams did not win the chip.
Yeah, I know, I know. But yeah, you know what I mean? If J-Dub wants to be a part of that history, I think it's kind of like a not an AJ situation, right, over there in Philadelphia. But I do think to some degree J-Dub wants his stats, and I think that's what kind of gets in the way of team chemistry. Don't rush it. You're on your way back. You guys are playing great ball. You just being on the floor is enough, right? You already command that attention. Let Chet get involved. Let these other guys that are coming in, Wiggins, all these other tremendous players that they have on the team, let them shine. Because J-Dub, you will get your opportunity. Just work your way back.
Yeah, no, I think you're kind of onto something with maybe to just let Chet become the two because I do think Chet's a more reliable offensive player right now. And then maybe just hey J Dub, like just maybe just put all that effort and dedication on the defensive end and just watch the team like just watch the team like success rise because he is a hell of a defender. And if he just kind of put most of his effort on the defensive end and let Shea and Chet and these like other guys, still be the three, but let these other guys kind of come into fruition, I do think I do think that they could be really, really dangerous. Because like I said, J Dubs is great defender. So hey, just maybe make that your stamp. Like I'm the defensive guy. I got this on this end of the floor. You guys got that on the other side of the floor.
No, yeah, absolutely. Well, to close us out, LeBron leads the league in fast break points this season. Is this
Insane.
another token of him beating Father Time, or are we making too much of it?
Um, I mean, it definitely. I mean, yeah to me, yeah, because I mean, he's 41 years old. I don't think in any world a dude in his 23rd season with how many minutes he has on those legs, the miles he has on those legs, should be leading the league in fast break points. And I'm pretty sure he's a top two or three in fourth quarter scoring as well, which is just insanity. I mean, it's like man, like, and is it leading to wins right now? No, but I give the benefit of the doubt because they are missing their number two in Austin Reeves. Luka's been in and out. LeBron's been in and out. Other guys have been in and out, like Rui. And Rui's actually, I think, top three in 3-point percentage this year as far as players that are eligible.
Who they
So,
demoted, by the way, to the bench.
yeah, but I just think, they just need to get healthy, get back on track. And then, yeah, as far as him leading the league in fast break points, for me, I mean, that's insane. There's just no way with all these other younger guys who can run, a lot longer than LeBron at this stage in his career that he's leading the league in fast break points. But I mean, that's always kind of been his thing is the fast break. So I don't know, like, if he'll ever lose that. So it's to some degree, I don't want to say it's not surprising, but it's not surprising enough because of how LeBron has always played.
Right. I guess I see what you're saying as far as it could be perceived as like another token of being Father Time, but I don't believe it is. You look at him this season. If you look at any play, LeBron is the last one up the court, right? To me, it's just old man basketball. I don't think it's more fast break. There's actually this app, or not app, there's actually this stat that tracks how many steps you take a game, right? How many miles you run a game. Now I haven't checked on LeBron, so I'll get back to it next podcast. But I guarantee, he's either lower middle of the pack or the lowest in the pack,
Hmm.
right? And to me, that's just big sign of just like, hey, can't keep up. Totally understand because of his age, but I wouldn't make too much of this stat. I just think it's just a nice little note and, just something to kind of pat the back on. But I wouldn't say this means, oh, yet again, he's being followed. Look how much he's running. No, I mean, if I'm at half
Says
court the whole
says the
game,
Jordan guy. Chat says the Jordan guy.
no, it's just true. Like if I sit, no, hear me out though. If I sit at half court all game, right, and I'm the only one there, that's considered a fast break, right? When really we all know it's not, right? It's just I'm cherry picking, you know.
Right.
So I wouldn't make too much of this. I like what's going on over there in LA as far as, Luka is clearly the number one option. And, LeBron definitely the number two. But when we get Austin back and those three get together, I hope to see some big time changes as far as the way their offense is constructed currently.
Yeah, and we saw it earlier in the year when they were red hot,
Yeah,
like when Luca and LeBron, or sorry, Luca
Austin.
and Austin were 1 and 2.
Yeah,
LeBron was just out there facilitating, getting like 10 assists a game. Just, I mean, he was just under full control. But I mean, obviously his scoring, he didn't need to go out there and score, but like he was just in such full control of the game because he didn't like for the first time in his career. He wasn't the number two. He wasn't the number one. He could just sit back and like, oh, all I have to do is coordinate, which is, he came into the league a pass first guy. He's like, yeah, I can do that. And so once Austin gets back, once Austin gets his legs back underneath him, they get healthy. They start giving Rui more minutes because he was hurt. I think they can play their way to the Western Conference Finals, no doubt. And especially they are. I don't know if you know this, Bone, but they're 16-0 when DeAndre Jordan has a double double.
Aiden.
Feed the big man,
Yeah.
please. I mean, like last night, Toronto came into LA and DeAndre Ayton went 10 of 10 with 23 points. I forget how many rebounds. It might have been 10, maybe more. But they're 16-0 when DeAndre Ayton has a double double. So once LeBron becomes that three again, and he's just facilitating when Luca is off the floor and it's him and Austin and DeAndre, he's going to be feeding DeAndre because I know LeBron knows that stat that they're 16-0 when DeAndre Ayton has a double double. So I think their key to success is they got to step it up a little defensively, which they did last night. They held the Toronto Raptors to 93 points, which is great. Toronto has a lot of young talent and is in feeding DeAndre. Like, there's a reason you went out and got him. So go use him.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying as far as Aiden. I'm not big on those like, hey, this team is 13-0 when this thing happens because like
No, I'm
we
not
can
either.
take like Russ and Jokic, right? Russ has like I think a 70% chance of winning every game if he gets a triple double, which is great. And like you're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, just do this the whole time, right? But it's just not the real key to success. I truly believe just because of injuries right now, I think they're not able to fall on a string. And so you're
Right.
asking LeBron to do too much right now. I think it's scoring, facilitating, or defense and facilitating. You got to choose you got to pick your poison with him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with
No, I'm
Luca,
just saying like
oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead, sorry. Oh, I was just saying, like, it does say something though. Like, okay, like, hey, we are 16-0 when DeAndre Ayton has a double double. Like, there's
Mm,
recipes to success when you're not having it, and so there's ways you can look at to like try to go find that, and that's
right.
just one of them. So, like, I'm not big on that either. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, they've been struggling mostly because Austin Reeves has been out, and their defense has not been that good. So, if they're looking for keys to success, I'm just saying, like, you can start there.
Yeah. I mean, no, absolutely. I don't know if I've seen LeBron besides Anthony Davis play with a talented big like Aiden.
Hmm.
But like a true postman that just wants to play in the post. You know, uh, when you have AD, I mean, he played guard all throughout his high school career. I mean, really his life until he hit his growth spurt, and then
Yeah.
uh,
I would
college.
say Big Z, maybe.
One more time.
Big Z. I would say Big Z
Big
early in
Z,
LeBron's
yeah, but
career.
yeah, no, for sure. Big Z, he was great actually. I mean, I love Big Z, but he only got to play with him what for 6 years, 7 years?
Yeah, it wasn't like a ton of
It wasn't
time,
too,
but
yeah, not a ton of time. And he was going through the early development of his career, but and he played with Boozer for like a season or two. So
yeah,
he hasn't really played with a lot of guys, in the big man position. And Luca has played with some, but I just think when it comes to a big man, I think while Aiden is the talent that they'd want, he's not probably the guy that they actually need, though, right? I think
hmm,
they need just like a lob threat, an athletic big who's just in there focused on rebounds. If Jared
yeah,
Vanderbilt was a center size, I mean, he'd be perfect for them because he gets in
yeah.
there and he does whatever you need him to do.
Hmm.
You know,
I do like Jackson Hayes. From time to time, like he'll show signs that like, oh my God, this is perfect. He's the athletic big.
right?
He's going and getting rebounds, and then he'll have a game with like 4 points, 3 boards, and really like a lot of minutes. So,
Yeah,
um, if Jackson Hayes can just get it together, I think he could be. I don't want to say a long term option, but definitely. I mean, there's a reason he's still getting minutes and he's there.
No, absolutely. Well, we'll look to see what happens this week. But
Hmm.
for now, that'll be it for episode 3 of Sideline and Punchlines. Let's go. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. We love the conversations. We love to hear your guys' input. Also, if you guys can tell anything different about our setups today, please leave a like, comment, and let us know what you noticed. And
Yeah,
it's
Bone,
not
you
the
looking a
hat.
little more handsome today. I don't know what it is.
Hey, I had to turn on my light because it was getting dark outside. I wanted to get the sunshine, and then I noticed I was a little too dark. I looked like an unlocked character.